Welcome to Insta Owl's classes. We at Insta Owl believe in democratizing education for one and for all. Welcome, students. Let's start studying the outcomes of democracy. What are we going to see in this chapter? We're going to see the overview of democracy's impact. You have studied what is democracy. You have studied the levels of democracy. Now you're going to see its impact. As we conclude our exploration of democracy, it's important to ask the broader questions about its overall effects. Key questions are: what does democracy achieve? What outcomes can we reasonably expect from a democratic system? Evaluating these, does democracy meet these expectations in reality? And how should we assess the results produced by democracy? What are we going to focus on? We will analyze the expected and actual outcomes of democracy in several key areas. You're going to study the quality of the government, the economic well-being of its people and the system, inequality and social differences, conflict resolution if there are any, and freedom and dignity. The purpose of this discussion will provide clarity on how to evaluate democracy and its effectiveness in meeting societal needs. Let's see the core advantages of democracy. It promotes equality among its citizens. All citizens of India get equal voting rights. It enhances the dignity of the individual. Yes, we have some fundamental right which gives you dignity. It improves the quality of decision making. Why? Because in such a big demographic, we have decision making. All citizens participate in the voting process, and then we have the government. It provides a method to resolve conflicts between people or between governments. And it allows room to correct mistakes. If we find any mistakes in a democracy, they can be corrected. The democracy dilemma. Democracy is supported in principle, but its practice often leaves people unsatisfied. It raises questions about whether democracy is valued for moral or for practical reasons. Let's see the global practice of democracy. Just like India, we have many countries which are democratic. Over 100 countries claim to practice democratic politics. Democracies differ significantly in social, economic, and cultural contexts. We have seen that democratic nations all around the world differ mostly in society, in their economies, and their cultural contexts. Expectations from democracy vary, but some basic outcomes are anticipated universally. Democracy is a form of government. This is what we have in India. Democracy provides a framework for achieving goals, but doesn't guarantee its outcomes. This is what you're going to see in this chapter, the outcomes of democracy. The citizens must leverage the conditions created by democracy to achieve societal goals. Let's see, evaluating the effectiveness of democracy. Democratic support versus satisfaction. We have to see if the democratic systems in the world actually satisfy their people. Most people favor democracy over alternatives like monarchy, military, or religious rule. But many are dissatisfied with how the democracy functions in practice. So, people know that democratic systems are good for the nation, but in practice, the reality is different. The democracy dilemma. While democracy is widely accepted as good in theory, its real-world application often falls short, leading to a conflict between ideals and reality. Let's reassess the outcomes of democracy. This discrepancy prompts a deeper evaluation of democratic outcomes. Is our preference for democracy based solely on moral grounds? Or are there practical reasons to support it as well? Do we have practical evidence that democracy is very useful? Moral versus prudential support for democracy. It's crucial to explore both the moral and practical. Prudential means practical aspect of democracy. Justifications for supporting this kind of system, that is the democratic system. Let's see global democracy, common traits and differences. The widespread practice of democracy. Over 100 countries practice democratic governance with constitutions, that is your rule book, with elections that happens in a year or once in 5 years. You have political parties that is the different parties of the state and citizens' rights as common features. Variations among democracies. Despite these shared elements, democracies vary significantly due to what? Due to differences in social conditions, different conditions of that different country, economic development, that is the growth of that country, and cultural backgrounds. Let's say the different democratic outcomes of these systems. The achievements and challenges of each democracy are shaped by these unique factors, resulting in diverse outcomes. You have introduced yourself to different democratic nations all over the world, and you have seen how the culture is different, and that is why the outcomes of democracy are different. Core expectations of democracy. While these specifics may differ, can we identify certain outcomes that should be expected from every democracy simply because of its democratic nature? Let's see. Let's see the attributes of democratic governance. What is the basic outcome of democracy? The primary outcome of democracy is to create a government, firstly, that is accountable. Every 5 years in India, we have the Lok Sabha elections. The government stays there for 5 years. The policies and schemes affect all the citizens, and that is why they have to be accountable to its citizens. Responsive to the needs and expectations of the people. This is very important because in 5 years, we are changing. So because the democracy, the people, the culture, the economy is changing, the government also has to change according to the time. And that is why it has to be responsive to the specific needs of some people. Now we're going to see democratic efficiency and effectiveness. Common questions about democracy. First question, is a democratic government efficient? And is it effective in decision making? By the end of this chapter, you will be able to answer both these questions. Perception of less effective governance. Some argue that democracy produces less effective governments compared to non-democratic systems. So now we have seen that some people don't want democracy. Why? Some people prefer monarchies and military dictatorships. Is that true? We will see in this chapter. Let's see the speed of non-democratic governments. Non-democratic rulers can make quick decisions without the need for deliberation, majorities, or public opinion, leading to faster implementation. Why? Because they are not like us. They don't need the approval from an assembly. They don't need an approval from the Lok Sabha, the Rajya Sabha. Here it is a unitary government. And that is why there are speedy decisions, because either it's a military dictator who's taking the decisions, either it's a king or it's a queen, or it is only one political party that is taking the decisions. That is why they are speedy, non-democratic systems. Let's see democratic process and deliberation. Democracy values deliberation and negotiation, which can cause delays in decision making. Remember, we're not a unitary system. Our fathers who made the constitution of this country made a very good constitution, saying that we can negotiate. In the assemblies, there is something known as the question hour or a debate hour where all the ministers have to answer questions, and that is why decision making takes a long time. Let's see the key questions. Does this inherent delay in democratic processes make it inefficient compared to non-democratic systems? So does the delay democracy inefficient? Let's see. Students, have you ever wondered how the government knows everything about you? Because they have access to data. They get this data from your Aadhaar cards and your ration cards. And that is how the government can make schemes and policies for all the people. They get your data from the cards that you hold, such as the Aadhaar card, the PAN card, and the ration card. Democratic government time versus its effectiveness. Quick decision making in non-democratic systems. Non-democratic governments can make decisions swiftly, very fast, like I told you, but these decisions may face resistance if not accepted by the people. Time-consuming democratic process, like I told you, in the assemblies, it's very time-consuming. Why? Because the ministers have to discuss the topics, discuss the bills, and then take a decision. Democratic governments take longer to make decisions due to the need to follow proper procedures and engage in deliberation and engage in a lot of debates. And only with the consensus will the assembly take a decision. Benefits of democratic procedures. Decisions in a democracy, although slower, are more likely to be accepted by the people and are often more effective. Let's see the value of time in a democracy. The time invested in democratic processes ensures better outcomes, making the cost of time worthwhile for long-term effectiveness. If you've seen the history of democratic politics in India, remember that there goes a lot of study for years, a lot of counting such as consensus, caste consensus. You also have a lot of rural data which has to be taken into consideration while making decisions. Let's see the transparency and accountability in democracy. Decision making in democracy. Democracy ensures that decisions are made based on established norms and procedures, like I told you. The right to examine these procedures. Now you have a right to ask the government, how are you working? That is also called as transparency. Citizens have the right and means to check if decisions were made following the correct procedures, promoting transparency. Transparency in the governance. Transparency, a key feature of democracy, allows citizens to scrutinize the decision-making process, a factor often missing in non-democratic systems. So whenever you are in a unitary system or under a king's rule or a queen's rule, you cannot ask them, why are you taking this decision? You cannot question their decisions. But in a democracy, you have the right to ask this. This is called as transparency. Let's see accountability. Democracy is expected to produce a government that follows procedures and is accountable to the people. Citizen participation. Democratic governments should develop mechanisms that allow citizens to hold them accountable and participate in decision making whenever and wherever necessary. You also have a Right to Information Act, which is a right given to all the citizens, where they can ask the government, have you followed due procedures while making the law? And if you have, we need to know that information. That is when the government is accountable in a democracy. Let's see democratic practices and institutions. What are the key practices? First, regular, on time and free and fair elections. Next, open public debate on major policies and legislation. Open public debate, yes. You must have seen whenever a election is close by, you will see that people or the politicians and their followers get into debates. You must have seen TV news channels where you can see two political parties or two politicians talking to each other, debating on what is good for society. That is a key practice when it comes to democracy. Citizens' right to information about government functioning, just like I told you, the Right to Information Act. They have the right to know the information. Performance of democracies. Democracies have had success in establishing regular and free elections. Conditions for open public debate have been set up in most of the democracies. So you'll see it all around the world. When they go to elections, you will see that there are open public debates. What are the areas where democracies fall short? Elections often fail to provide a fair chance to everyone. Now we've got many political parties, you've got many politicians, but still you have limited number of seats. So everybody does not get to participate in the actual decision making, but everybody participates in the voting. And that is why we say elections often fail to provide a fair chance to everyone. Not every decision is subjected to public debate. Yes, there are some decisions which are reserved, or maybe they are not very important to the whole of the nation. That can be a local problem, and that is why not every debate or every decision is debated. Democracies have a mixed record in sharing information with citizens. Yes, even though we have the right to information, we can see that some governments or can choose not to share information. These are some of the drawbacks of democracy. Let's compare it. Comparison with non-democratic regimes. Despite shortcomings, democracies perform better than unitary or non-democratic regimes. Let's see the challenges. Expectations from democracy. A government that is attentive to people's needs and demands. So we expect it to be very attentive to our needs. A system largely free of corruption. We also expect them to be very fair, free of corruption. disappointing record of democracies. Yes, the reality is a little disappointing. Democracies often fail to adequately meet the needs of the people, and many democracies tend to ignore these demands of the majority of the people. Let's see corruption. Corruption is one major problem. There's a lot of corruption when it comes to democratic policies or nations. Corruption remains a prevalent issue in democratic systems with frequent examples that erode public trust. So you'll come across scams, you'll come across people not giving the money to the rural areas even though it has been sanctioned by the government. So there are a lot of loopholes when it comes to democracy, and that is why this erodes the public trust. There's a trust of the people in democracy. Let's compare it with other regimes. There is no evidence that non-democratic regimes are less corrupt or more responsive to the needs of the people than democracies. So over here, we don't have evidence when we compare it to others. We're going to see the key attributes of democratic governance, and please look at the screen. We're going to see a map which shows us the preference for democracy over dictatorship in South Asia. What does that mean? Which countries in South Asia prefer democracy to dictatorship? Over here you can see in South Asia, democracy is preferred mostly by many of the South Asian countries. Bangladesh, 69% prefer democracy. India, 70%. Nepal, 62%. Pakistan, the lowest, with only 37% preferring democracy, and Sri Lanka with 71%. In the yellow, you can see that sometimes dictatorship is better. That is, there are countries who say that we do prefer dictatorship sometimes better than democracy. And in the blue, you can see 28% that they do not care whether it's a democracy or a dictatorship. It doesn't matter to them. Now we're going to see the legitimacy of democratic government. What is the key strength? Democracy is a legitimate form of government. Why? Because it has been written in the constitution. It has proper procedures, giving it an edge over the other alternatives of unitary system. We have kings, we have queens, or military dictators. Limitations of democracy. Democracy may be slow, less efficient, and not always fully responsive or free from corruption. People's government. Despite its flaws, a democratic government is the people's own government. Very important, because it is chosen by the people for the people. Global support for democracy. There is widespread support for democracy worldwide in both democratic and non-democratic countries. So they do support democracy. Let's see the desire for elected representatives. People prefer to be governed by representatives. They elect and believe that democracy is suitable for their country. So we elect people to the assemblies. And why do we do that? So that we feel connected to the decision making in the parliament, in the Lok Sabha. That is why we have voting rights. And it makes us feel a part of the decision making process in democracy. Democracy's self-supporting nature. Democracy's ability to generate its own support is a significant and undeniable outcome. So democratic systems or democracy is made by the people, and that is why they get a lot of support. Please look at the screen. We're going to see perceived suitability of democracy in South Asia. In South Asia, these countries were asked, how suitable is democracy for your country? Now, the red indicates very suitable and the pink indicates suitable, means it's a yes to democracy. In South Asia, 88% say yes, democracy is suitable. Bangladesh, 93%, Sri Lanka, 92%, India, also 92%, Pakistan, 84%, and Nepal, 79%. We have another question. Agreement with the rule of leaders elected by the people in South Asia. Overwhelming support for democracy. Like we agree to democracy. Those who agree with the rule of leaders elected by the people. In South Asia, 94% agree to elected representatives. In Sri Lanka, you have 98%, Bangladesh 96%, India 95%, Nepal 94%, and Pakistan 81%. Let's revise, students, what you studied in this chapter. We have studied assessing democracy's outcomes. You have studied firstly that we are a democratic nation. You have seen why are we a democratic nation, what are the advantages and what are the disadvantages of our democracy. You have seen in democracy, we have citizen control. Why? Because we have been giving voting rights. And because of that, we can choose our leaders. Efficiency, yes, you have seen that when we compare it to other regimes, we can see that democracy is definitely more effective and efficient. Key attributes of democratic governments, like you have seen, the government has to be accountable and has to be responsive to the needs of its people. I hope, students, you're enjoying studying outcomes of democracy with me. Stay tuned to InStyle's next video on the same chapter. Thank you.